and welcome back. Before we go into today's topic, please do me a favor if you are new to the channel, just subscribe, like the video, it helps me grow the channel. So, thank you for your support. Today, we're gonna speak about student loans. So, student loans impose a severe long term burden on young people, stalling life milestones like home ownership, marriage, getting children, while triggering anxiety and depression. With rising debts, many young adults face diminishing retiring savings, delayed independence, and also an intense financial pressure that limits their career choices. So if we go into article I found on the educationdata.org, some statistics in an article written by Melanie Hansen, we see that student loan debt in United States, and we're gonna focus mainly on United States, although Western EU has pretty much the same problems. So the student loan debt in US totals 1.833 trillion, and annual growth resumes following a small decline in 2023-2024. The numbers on the outstanding federal student loan close to 1.7 trillion and close to 43 million student borrowers with federal loan debt. They represent 91% almost of all student loan debts, with a small percentage being private. The average federal student loan debt balance is close to $40,000. So the numbers are amazing, astonishing, at least for me. There's a lot of money for young people. Think about 18, 19-year-olds that they are just starting their life and they are already burdened with these huge student loans. And then the average public university student borrows 32, almost 32,000 to obtain a bachelor's degree. And these are just average data. So of course, if you go for maybe a more specialized degree, obviously the cost is higher. So you can see here the historic total national student loan debt. So it's incredible, starting with 26, almost 20 years ago, from less than half a trillion to, yeah, it's getting closer to 2 trillions. We only have data until 2024, so if we maybe expand the series to 2026, it might be actually 2 trillion as we speak. So that's huge. I recommend you checking the article. It has a lot of good statistics, good figures for you to really understand the burden. Now, if we go back on the impact on young adults, as I've said, first, we have delayed life milestones. We have high debt payments leading to delays in purchasing homes, buying vehicles, and starting families, especially when kids are involved. Then mental and physical health struggles. So borrowers report higher level of stress, anxiety, depression, insomnia, and in general a bad state of mind, which makes sense, yeah, when you are in debt with a huge amount, so early, so young, and um, the rates are usually crashing. It's hard to keep a positive mindset to it. Then the wealth inequality. The student debt disproportionately affects the first generation students and people in different categories, sometimes worsening the racial wealth gap. Um, then the reduced savings and asset building is obviously a consequence of that. So Young adults with debt have significantly lower net worth and diminished retirement savings, with one who estimates suggest a loss of up to 200,000 over a lifetime. So obviously, the difference between one student who um, took loans and another student who didn't is that the second one is able to save more, maybe invest, and during a lifetime, obviously, those money goes through composite interest and generate more and more money. So when you draw the line, let's say after 30 years, 40 years, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then obviously there's limited career choices because debt often forces graduates to take higher paying jobs rather than pursuing jobs that they are passionate about, but maybe don't pay as much. Now, if we talk about the systemic issues and challenges to this, first, we need to mention the irredeemable nature. So, unlike other forms of debt, student loans cannot be easily discharged in, let's say, bankruptcy. So they are keeping borrowers tied to payments for years. There have been talks, especially in the US, about forgiveness on student loans for certain demographics, for certain sectors, but it's generally been more the talk rather than the actual results. Then we have the rising costs we need to be aware of. So, median student loan debt has increased by about 50% after adjusting for inflation, with about 37% of US households under 40 holding debt. So, just imagine 37% of US households under 40 holding debt. It's the type of debt that you cannot get rid of very fast. So let's say you start paying it at, I don't know, 22, 23, and then you drag it on until you are close to 40. And then you also have to maybe get a loan for other necessities. You need to maybe get a loan for a house or maybe for, let's say, health issues or maybe to open up a business. Um, so this is an additional burden, of course. And then, as I mentioned, the generational inequality, with many young people feel trapped in a system that forces them into what could be a lifetime of debt, with some relying on the student loan relief programs like the SAVE plan to make payments manageable. Now, if we talk about long-term consequences, we have, let's say, maybe delayed or stifled entrepreneurship. So, the financial burden reduces the ability of young people to start new businesses or to take risk in maybe a business or a job. Then we are talking about lower credit scores. So the heavy debt burdens are correlated with lower credit scores, furthering restricting financial freedom. And of course, dependence on parents or maybe to the spouse, to the husband or wife. So, delayed financial independence sometimes forces young adults to remain living at home for longer, or if they get married, to uh, depend maybe on the husband's or the wife's salary to make ends meet. So the standard repayment usually takes 10 years or so, um, based on the statistics. But the catch is the fastest way to eliminate this debt is the least interest accrued, with the monthly payments often being too high for recent graduates to afford. or they can afford them at a high cost for their lifestyle. And I'm not meaning here the usual joke with not serving avocado toast or the like. It's basically not affording maybe a reliable car if you actually need a car. It's maybe not affording, let's say, a reasonable housing and such. Then, if you go for a less monthly payment, it can spread to 20, 25 years, which is already a lot, and a lot of interest gets accrued on that. And as we speak about the public service loan forgiveness, um, this is generally, like I said, more talk than actual facts. But in some cases, there can be a public service loan forgiveness. So let me know what your thoughts on the matter are, guys, and what's your experience. Do you have student loans? How much it took to get rid of them? How much are you paying? And also, again, please do me a favor and like and subscribe to the channel as it helps the channel grow and it helps me to bring other interesting topics. Thank you.